Let's get started. I know that quite a few are joining us. We had 128 people registered for the webinar. I know quite a few of you will be listening to the recording. So a very warm welcome if you are listening to the recording, and a very warm welcome if you are joining us live tonight. I have two groups of people, so I just wanted to mention and give a shout out. We have Joanna Taylor's group. So if you joined through Joanna Taylor, a very warm welcome to you. And we also have, I invited my groups or my community on my mailing list. So a very warm welcome to you if you have been on one of these webinars before with me, or you've joined me in any other way, a very warm welcome to you. So let us get going with our topic, and they have changed all the way that Zoom present things to me here. So this is interesting. Let me just put do my screen share, and Zita may well mute you. So if you don't mind muting yourself just for a nice clean recording, she may mute you, I may mute you, so that we've got a good sound quality for everyone. Our topic, how to build a pipeline of new clients without using social media. Well, I'm going to talk about a little bit more about why this is important, but why I created this webinar in the first place is I see so many coaches being advised to be on social media and that it's a good way to get clients. And my experience shows me that it isn't the best way of getting clients. And that's why I wanted to share with you, not just the fact that it doesn't work that well, social media, but other ways that work far more effectively. And I think ways that coaches are going to enjoy more, because it's more around developing relationships than it is to do with posting and content. And that might seem even a little bit controversial, but after working with hundreds of coaches myself over the years, possibly even more than that now, what I've seen is the best way to build a coaching business is through conversations, developing relationships. And I think that that's what this is part of our topic today. And it's also what I share with clients as I work with them over 6 months, a year, really how to do this. And why do you need it? It's like, to build a pipeline of new clients, it's like I think we all need to know how to do this. We all need to know how to build a pipeline, because it frees you up, actually. It frees you up in the sense of, once you know how to do this, you have a system. It's like you can reliably generate clients whenever you want to, rather than feeling like, that income roller coaster where it can feel very, very up and down when running a coaching business. If you know how to do this, it almost turns your marketing to being like you can turn on a tap. You know exactly what to do. You know exactly what works, so that when you want to bring some more clients on board, you've got an empty diary, say for January next year, you know exactly what to do between now and then to fill your diary with the clients that you enjoy working with. So a short introduction to me, because I know that most of you know me. And I'll give you a little bit more detail about my journey, perhaps, as we go through, and my background. Suffice to say, I trained as a coach back in 1999, a long time ago now. And I think I must have made all the mistakes in the book, even though my background is in marketing. So I'm a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Marketing. And my aim is to bring all that experience and all the mistakes in terms of what to do instead to help other coaches with their business. And it just seems to me the way my niche has evolved, and this wasn't really planned, it was an evolution over the years, that I've just attracted more and more coaches very specifically to help them with their business and help them to have a sustainable business and market themselves based on authenticity and integrity, rather than the kind of sleazy marketing and sales that you might have seen around. So that's a very brief introduction to me. Here's what we're going to cover. 4 steps to building a pipeline of clients. So I'm going to get into some of the specifics, because I think that's going to be useful. How to position yourself and stand out from the crowd. As you may have noticed, there are lots of coaches around, so you need to be able to stand out from the crowd. We're going to look at these marketing strategies based on conversations. How does that work? I'm going to take you through 3 strategies that I've seen working very reliably. And I'm also going to show you a marketing plan in terms of what do you actually need that you can implement in 15 minutes a day. So I'm going to give you as much as I can in the time that we've got. If you have only just joined us, please put your questions in the chat box as we go. Zita Lewis is going to collect those for us and ask me the questions at the end. Everyone will receive the notes, so you don't have to put your email address in. We've got everybody signed up on MailChimp so that we can send you both the recording and we can send you the notes afterwards, just so that you don't feel you have to take long-handed notes and spend your time either typing or writing. So we've got that all prepared for you. So let us move into the first step. And what we're going to do today is a little bit different from perhaps some of the other webinars that I've done. A lot of people have said they really like more interaction and doing a little bit of the work as we go along. So we are going to be doing some of this work together rather than me give you kind of like presentation content style and then it's kind of like you go away and do it. No, we're going to do some of these exercises as we go. And I've got an exercise for you in a moment that I took my advanced group through and they said they really, really like this. So I'm going to share that one with you as well. So aligning with your target market. This is all about aligning yourself with who it is that you're really here to work with. Who are your ideal clients? And there are two important aspects to this. And the difference between the two is really, really important. The first piece is all about inner alignment. So this is you aligning with your ideal clients. It's you getting clear on who they are within yourself. Then the outer alignment is to do with how do you then get that across? How do you talk about it and so on to your target market? And what I see, the mistake I see many coaches making is trying to do both at once. So let us go through the inner alignment piece, and then you'll get more of a sense of it. This is really looking at, some of you have anybody heard of the book by Simon Sinek, Start With Why? I may have abbreviated that in terms of the title. This is us looking at your personal why. What are you here to do? So I'm going to ask you some questions, and this is for you just to get a sense of clarity in terms of this inner alignment piece to start with. And just jot down on your note paper, hopefully you've got a pen, the answer that comes to you as I ask you the questions. And this is just for your personal information. So in terms of your inner alignment, what is it in your business that brings you the most joy? It's like, why do you do this work? What's the best bit about the work that you do? And as I'm asking these questions, if any of the words that I use aren't quite right for you, just substitute a word that feels better to you. And you may get answers to all the questions. You might not get answers to absolutely every one, but just to see what arises for you. So second question, what work is it that you love to do? What energizes you? I'm just finishing that one. You can come back to these. I'm going to pop the questions on the screen again in a moment. Third question, who do you love to work with? So this is getting more clear on your target market. Who do you love to work with? Who are your kind of ideal people? And those are the questions just there. So you've got a recap. So just finishing that. And Zita, please could you launch the first poll? And this first poll is really to get a sense of how many years experience the people on the all of you have in terms of people on the call here together. So how long have you been in business? Less than a year, 1 to 3, 3 to 10, over 10 years. And as I go through, I'm going to tailor it a little bit to who we have here present. So I think that is pretty much everyone. Zita, if you could display the results, please, or end the poll and display the results, I should say. And so I'm going to read out the results for everyone who's listening to the recording because this bit doesn't necessarily get displayed on the screen. So we have 30% of you've been in business less than a year, and the same 30% 1 to 3 years. 24% of you in business for 3 to 10 years, and over 10 years, 15% of you. So so 30, 30, 24, 15, a reasonable split with more of you earlier in the journey than later. Thank you. Great, really helpful for me to know who's all here. All right, so the next piece we're going to go into is the outer alignment piece. And when we're looking at this, I would say the biggest mistake that people make here is like once we've got a clear sense of who it is we want to work with, the biggest mistake in terms of the outer alignment of being out in the world and talking about that and expressing that, the biggest mistake I see a lot of coaches make here is in that messaging, trying to get across everything that you do. Because it will be so, for most of you, I'm guessing you can do a lot of different things and work with a lot of different issues, different ways of working. If you try to get all of that across to somebody, chances are you'll overwhelm them. This might be a useful metaphor, and this is what I help people with in terms of the messaging. It's almost like what I call a front door strategy. In other words, you just need the messaging that's going to get people to your front door. Once they get to your front door, you can tell them about the rest of the house. But if we try to tell them about the whole house, it's like that's going to be too much. So the other thing here is being really clear on who it's for. So for all of us, I guess you've heard the advice that you need a niche. Yes, you do. It's beneficial to have a niche, but sometimes your messaging can just get across the main problem or challenge that you help people with. So let me talk about this a little bit more. This is all about how you communicate with the outer world, how you talk about what you do. So let me take you into the next slide here. So this outer alignment is how your messaging for the outside world. It's how you talk about what you do. What I would also add to that, it would be what's on your website, what's in your LinkedIn profile. All of that is your communication with the outer world. So this is the outer alignment. And it's also, and I've covered the how to talk about what you do in quite a number of different webinars. So I'm not going to cover that in detail. Just to give you, I guess, a heads up or a really short summary, how you talk about what you do, an ideal scenario would be to talk about who you work with, so your target market, and the biggest challenge or problem that you can help them with. So I'll give you an example. I'll give you my example. So I help coaches to problem or challenge get more clients. I help coaches with their marketing. And yours is, I'm sure, going to be different. But if you can talk about who you work with and the biggest, the most expensive problem or challenge you can help them with, that's really going to help you to get some traction in the outer world. What we're going to do next is how you talk about yourself. So what we're going to look here at is what's special about you? What can help you to be seen and noticed? The important part here is it gets you known, and it can also help you to reduce the competition. So as we go into this, positioning yourself, and something may have, I'm just going to pause briefly because sometimes something will occur to you when I ask you that question. What is special about you? What is rare, unique, or unusual? And when I did this, I had like, it really was a page of lots and lots of different things. And this might be something for you to take away to do a deeper dive with, because quite often we haven't unearthed all of the different aspects of what's unusual about us, and what would make us stand out in the marketplace. And yet that is important, because we have to get the attention of those people that we really want to work with. It's almost like in service of them, strangely, rather than the service of ourselves, that we need to be able to speak in this way. So a few different ways of looking at this. And again, for those of you who are earlier in your business, it may not be the number of years experience you have in coaching. For some of you who've been in business 10 years or more, that might be exactly what you want to have. It might be the experience you have before you came to coaching, because an awful lot of you, I'm guessing that this is a second career rather than the first one, and you will have a lot of experience in another field or a related field even, that will be very attractive to your potential clients. And you may have to dive a bit deeper or think laterally to know how that might work and how you can demonstrate the benefit to your clients of that, but it will be in there somewhere. Other ways that you can position yourself. What other people have said about you. That I quite like, because it means that we don't have to big ourselves up. It's like, oh, this is what somebody else said. Any prizes, honors, professional recognition you've received. So some of my clients have received awards, and that can be well, obviously something to speak about and something that's highly attractive to potential clients. Conferences and events that you've spoken at. And again, all of this is about making you stand out. So it may be the conference or the event itself. It may be what you spoke about that would be particularly interesting to your potential clients. It could be media that you featured in, so radio, TV, if any of you've done that, books and articles you've written. All of that, I would say, is potential for your positioning. And then choose the top 2 or 3. Please don't go for all of them, because it's almost like then we dilute it if we choose too many of these. So mine, just to give you an example, and this took me a few years to hone. So I say, what's unusual about me, notice the positioning, is that I'm a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Marketing. That puts me in the top 3% worldwide of marketeers. And then I bring that level of expertise in marketing very specifically to the coaching profession. So you can hear how I'm making myself quite unusual. All of that's totally true, by the way. And I would also say there's no one else I know who is qualified at that level working with coaches. Most of them are in the corporate sector. All right, so that is positioning. Let us move into step 2 next, which is to clarify your vision. And your vision for your business to me is it's everyone's an individual. So what does your ideal business look like for you? Very personalized. And what we're going to do here is connecting with the work we did earlier. So looking at your target market, beginning to look at that. And I'm going to take you through a really a short exercise, but it's something that people really enjoy. And just give you a moment to maybe get settled, or if you like to write as we go, you can write as we go to see what comes to you. But what we're going to tune into here is what's your soul's version of success? What feels it's got to feel right for you rather than being the logical head answer, which quite often can be different. Our idea of success can quite often come from the world around us rather than tuning into that sort of inner wisdom of what feels right for you. So my invitation for you is to connect with your personal vision. And it might be for 6 months' time, it might be a year's time. Just go with whatever feels right for you. And maybe just reconnect with yourself just now. So just noticing how your body's feeling, maybe taking a nice deep breath in. And maybe just taking a moment to pay attention to your heart. Move your attention to your heart and connect with the feeling in your heart, however it's feeling today. And now imagine you could have your business be exactly the way you want it to be. What would that look like for you? So you can imagine it, you can jot it down on the page, just whatever way feels good for you. What's the work that you're really enjoying doing? So if you could have your business be whatever way you want it to be, what's the work that you're really enjoying doing? Stuff you're kind of looking forward to. And as you're getting a clearer sense of where you'd like your business to be, what are the type of clients you were working with that you're, again, really enjoying working with? And how does this feel for you? So, just getting a sense of having your ideal business, how does that feel? Maybe you notice it in your body. You may just get a sense of how it feels. A word might pop into your mind. And as you're imagining your ideal business, what's the best part of this for you? And why does it feel important for you to move your business in this direction? Why does it feel important to move your business in this direction? And again, just see what answer comes. Maybe something, maybe nothing. And now imagine that you have a pipeline of ideal clients that you love working with. What would that give you if you knew you had a pipeline of ideal clients? So what we're beginning to look at here is your inner motivation. Why does this feel important for you? And imagine now how many clients you'd like to have. So just getting a sense of how many clients you'd like to be working with in your ideal scenario. Might be a certain number of clients a week, might be a certain number in total. And is there anything else that feels important to connect with this ideal vision of your business? Is it maybe the amount of time you're working, how much money you're making? Anything else that feels important for you? And then I'm going to invite you to open your eyes if you've had your eyes closed. Come back to the room. If anybody wants to write a note of anything, just a moment to connect with that. And if you've been writing as we go, just maybe taking a moment to underline anything that feels important for you from what you got from that visioning exercise. All right, so I'm going to take us into the next part of this exercise. So looking at your version of success, do you have an income goal, or is your goal a certain number of clients? Say your marketing was really working for you, got a pipeline of clients. What would be your income goal for the year, perhaps? And now we're going to do a little bit of working out what you need to do to reach that income goal. So moving down to the second piece here, to reach that income goal, or alternatively, the number of clients, how many new clients do you need each month? So if you were going to reach your goal over the year, let's make it a year just for simplicity. How many new clients do you need each month? Or a year. Some of my clients work on larger projects, and maybe that's true for you. So it might be you only need 2 or 3 large clients a year. And just go with whatever, again, whatever feels right for you, because this is very much your individual version, your creation of your business here. So I love to say, I love helping people create a business on their own terms. It's like creating it how you want it to be. So let's break this down. I'm going to do some really make it super easy, and your numbers might be different, but if you want to jot down, if it's true for you, that it's an annual income that you want, might be a monthly income. So go with whatever's, again, feels right for you. An example, if you wanted to generate 90,000 over the year, say you only want to work 10 months. Again, I'm making the maths as easy as possible. So we divide 90,000 by 10, comes to the very straightforward answer of 9,000 a month. That's what you want to generate. And then working it backwards, so to speak, if you charge £3,000, so you might like to think here of, oh, how much is a typical client worth to you? And I've chosen 3,000 because at an executive coaching package, quite often clients I'm working with, that would be 3,000. And again, simplifying the maths. So if you charge 3,000, you need just 3 new clients each month. It's not a huge number. And I think that's important. And that's quite often the sort of big reveal in this exercise for many of my clients. It's not like you're looking for hundreds of people, and therefore large sort of advertising campaigns and big LinkedIn sort of pushes, they don't tend to generate that many clients anyway. But even if they did, the sort of the very big visibility pieces aren't always necessary. I think that what I see working more often is something very, very specific. All right, so I thought this would be useful as well. A few examples of client rates. I've already talked about the £3,000 mark. Some of my clients get coaching at that rate, sometimes lower rates. If you're in the public sector or charity sector, your rates may well be lower. If you're working with individual clients, again, your rates may be lower. Some of my clients get projects worth 15, 18, 25,000 in the mid-range. And to be clear, that's not just coaching. Quite often that will be working with a team, working with a number of people, adding in coaching. And sometimes I've had clients who've got projects worth 60,000, 75,000, and that again is a larger project, maybe working with a company on coaching culture, for example. And what I find really interesting about if you want to get those larger projects, again, you don't need that many of them. So I would say then your marketing is going to be so much more effective if you do it based on one-to-one conversations rather than big, broad, generic campaigns. And one of my clients who applied what we're covering today, she used this and it resulted in her being fully booked for a year ahead. And she said, that's never happened to me before, Lisa. I've been in business 20 years. So it's like we're just touching the surface today. But if you apply some of this consistently, it can really have a huge effect on the reliability of your marketing, the reliability for you to be able to bring clients on board for yourself. So what I'm going to move into next, step 3, the other aspect of marketing, not so much the strategy, but mindset. And mindset, whenever I do this exercise, there's often quite a few people who are like, this is the missing piece, or this is the piece that is going to help me shift more quickly. It's like, I know the strategy, but I'm not carrying it out for whatever reason. Usually it's mindset. So what we're going to do next, and again, this is a short exercise that I think you'll find illuminating. You may get an insight here. It's an exercise very specifically on discovering the challenge. It's like, where's the challenge with mindset? And some of you, as we go through this, it might be something familiar. For some of you, it might be, it's familiar. I'm seeing it in a different way. And over the last few years, I've been working more and more with people on mindset. I do a mindset call every month with my group because this is the piece that I see making the difference time and time again. It's almost like one tiny shift in mindset can bring the biggest results. I've seen it so many times. And I'm guessing quite a few of you might have seen that in your own work when you see a client getting an insight or an aha moment, seeing something differently, then that's when the shift really happens. That to me is the essence of a transformation, when people really get that insight around their own mindset. So I'm going to ask you some questions here. And again, just jot down on your page your answers, again, very specific to you. So first question here, what is the biggest problem with your marketing or getting more clients? What's the biggest problem with marketing or getting more clients? And just jot it down. So just finishing that one off. What is the main thing that's stopping you from having the business you want? So now you've got a sense of clarity of the ideal business. What's the main thing that's stopping you from having that business that you want? And if there's an answer that just came to you straight away, go with that. So those two may be similar, the answers, or they may be different. Third question, where are you stuck? Is that really helping you to focus on what is getting in your way here? Where are you stuck? And last question here. Now go back to the problem, the biggest problem that you had in number one with your marketing or getting more clients. Go back to that original problem. When you think about that problem, what are all the judgments and assessments you have about yourself? So when you think of that problem that you had in number one, what are all the judgments and assessments you have about yourself? And again, stream of consciousness, just jot them down. I shall put those on the screen for you, just so that you can have a recap. Anything you wanted to check? And so with number four, the interesting part to me is how often we have an awful lot of judgments about ourselves. It's almost like on top of the problem. So we've got this challenge, and then when we think about it, we give ourselves a hard time. And quite often, it's all of that thinking about ourselves, the judgments of ourselves, in my experience, that can stop us moving forward as well. And when we begin to unpack those judgments, that assessment, those assessments, how we're viewing ourselves in terms of the original problem, we can often see that, and I don't know if any of you have noticed that in the exercises. We've done quite a short exercise here, but you may notice that when we look back at that problem, that is almost like a pattern to it. So it's like, oh, where else in your life are you experiencing all those judgments and assessments about yourself? Often the pattern did originate earlier in our lives. And to me, that is really worth shifting, because it's going to hold us back in our business. And it's almost it's like us on automatic pilot. And I know for me, some of the things that I've looked at, particularly around being more visible in my business, that's been like the hiding sort of thing that I had, particularly as a child. It didn't feel good to be out there and be visible. And I was often told, as you might have experienced this as well, it's like, we're not encouraged in our culture, are we, to brag, or certainly not to boast, or be too loud. All of that's actively discouraged. So it's interesting how our culture often doesn't help us when it's very much subconscious. Our automatic pilot is to not be seen too much. I found that that was certainly not helping me run my business and be out there. So you may have noticed this as well. So some of this automatic pilot mindset is very useful. And some of it may have, I say, it's outgrown its sell-by date, perhaps, is the way that I see it. And a lot of coaches would say to me, one of the biggest things that holds them back is themselves. And if that's the case, or you sense that this might be a good area for you to look at, if there's some truth in that for you, mindset is the place to look. Really, before we get into action, mindset's the important place to look. All right, so let us move into step four. We're going to move into the more practical pieces here. So beginning to select your strategy. I'm going to outline for you three strategies, three options here for building your pipeline. Listen out for your favorite or the one that you think is going to be the easiest for you. So as I'm talking through the three different options, you just think, well, if I'm not going to focus on everything, what would be the best one for me to get started with? I think that might be a useful way to listen to this part of the call. All right, so strategy one. This is reaching out one by one. This works for people who've been in business a short time. It also works really well for people who've been in business for a longer time. But again, the longer you've been in business, probably the more strategic you are going to be about this, because it's important to make sure it doesn't take too much of your time. Getting into conversations is really the key part of this. And if you haven't seen the research by Sherpa, so Sherpa did some fascinating research. This was worldwide research on how do buyers of executive coaching find their coach. And they found that 80% was through personal recommendation, word of mouth. So this to me means if if there's any strategy that generates me 80% of my business, it's like I'm going to learn how to get better at that. I'm going to focus on that because my chances of success are going to be higher. A few different ways that you can do this is to reach out to people you know. I would say one by one and a catch up. So I'll give you a few things because my clients then say to me, okay, Lisa, sounds great, but how do I do that? There are a couple of different ways that I've found work really well. So for people you know really well, having a catch up is a great way to do this. There are going to be people in your network, people that you know, that reaching out and having a catch up is going to feel like, well, that's not something they're going to say yes to. And then you might be looking at how do you reach out to people with a reason for getting into a conversation and sharing something useful. So it may be sharing something useful that's related to your speciality. It has to be something that's going to be valuable to the person that you're inviting. So that's where I see people falling down with this strategy. If it's just generic reaching out, there's not going to be enough in it for the person you're reaching out to make them want to spend their time with you. So a few different ways you could do this. The main focus is you being of service. You could do things like sharing, and for those of you who've been in business a bit of time, sharing key strategies or tips from working with other clients. You could invite people. So for example, if you're a leader with a team that's underperforming, offering them a conversation to help them turn that around. And I bet anybody who's going to have a conversation with a coach, if we frame that conversation, we ask them good questions, they are going to get something really useful from that conversation. So the whole conversation has to be designed so that it is genuinely going to be helpful for that person you're going to have the conversation with. All right, so that's reaching out one by one. Let us move into the second one. And this is one that is underestimated, I think. Building referrals into your business activities. A lot of people do get referrals, but they're not strategic enough, in my opinion. They're not making the most of it because they're not building it into their everyday business activities. So, what does that look like? It looks like having very specific scripts to ask people and let them know in advance that you're going to ask. So I've been been road testing this one for years with clients to see it's like, okay, in the coaching profession, what is best practice? What we have found, and people have tried this in many, many different ways, best practice is to send them something before your final session with a client. And that might be a review session, or part of it might be a review. And then, quite simply, within your conversation, and you might have this worded out, is there anyone you know who might be interested in working with me? And if that feels too direct, so I love putting these scripts together because it's like my script might not be right for you, of course, but having something to start with is better than having a blank page, which for me is very off-putting. So I like having these scripts. Is there anyone you know who may be facing similar challenges to those that you were facing when we started working together? That might be a softer one. And I think also making these questions and asking them in a way that if the person doesn't know, it's totally fine. So there's nothing on it. You're just asking out of curiosity rather than really expecting something from that. And then I think it can land very softly. And also let them know, so as I was saying earlier, let them know in advance that you are going to be asking them, because then they can have a think about it rather than feeling that they can't respond to your question in the moment because they haven't had a chance to think about it. All right, so last strategy here, how to build a pipeline, is having conversations that lead to referrals. This is where you need, it's almost getting the opportunity to talk about your work. What I find is that unless we've planned how I might talk about my work, how I might drop that into a conversation to lead to a referral, if I haven't planned that in advance, chances are I'm probably not going to do it on the spur of the moment when I'm with somebody. And that's why, in my opinion, or how this tends to work best, is to have something planned. So have a plan of what you might say. You might change it slightly in the moment. But I'll just give you an example here. A client that I was working with wanted a way to drop it. She was having conversations and she wanted to expand on a piece of work that she was doing already. And she had a sense that this company that she was working with could really do with some additional team coaching work. And so we worked on that scripting, and the script goes something like this, and it's going to be in your notes so you can adapt this as well. And how she dropped it into the conversation, saying, as somebody's talking, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting that you're facing that specific challenge, or refer to the challenge. A lot of my clients are dealing with the same problem. So for example, I was working with a client recently on that, and blah, blah, blah. And then you can go into one of your success stories, talking from your marketing messages. And so the key piece here is just dropping into the conversation. Oh, I was working with somebody else on that. And we worked on some team coaching, and this was the benefit, or this was the outcome of this. Obviously, all within the bounds of confidentiality, but it gives you an opportunity to talk more widely about what you do. And why I think it's important, particularly coaches, we're good listeners, aren't we? We get so engaged with what people are saying and listening to them that to actually talk about ourselves isn't so easy. So having this planned in advance can make a real difference. All right, so Zita, do you have poll 2 ready? And it'd be really great to hear from everyone. Just taking a moment to reflect on which strategy do you think will work best for you? So we have reaching out one by one, building referrals into your business, and just selecting one here, building referrals into your existing business activities, having those conversations that lead to referrals. And it might be only it's something else for you. It might be that you're not quite sure which one's going to work best for you. So just pop in the poll, whichever one, just in this moment. You can change your mind later on, of course, but just in this moment as I'm talking them through, to help you just get that sense of focus. So which one's going to work best for you? I think we have a couple more people to put in their preference, whichever one you think will work best. Great, I think that's nearly everyone. So Zita, if you could end the poll, please, and display the results. And then I will read them out again, particularly for people who are listening to the recording. So 41% of you, which is the top answer, reaching out one by one. Great. 17% of you, so quite a lot lower, building referrals into your business activities. 24%, so it's probably the middle one, is having conversations that lead to referrals. Excellent. Something else, nobody. And not sure, 17% of you. So hopefully when you get the notes as well, that might give you a little bit more of a steer of what might work best. And you can do all of these, by the way, but I think it's useful as a starting point to select one, implement that rather than trying to do it all across the board all at the same time. All right. Thanks, Ita. If you could take that off the screen for us, and I'm going to move into what do you need in a marketing plan so that you've got a sense of focus here. And then we've got a little bit of time for Q&A. So what do you need in a marketing plan? The first part, so this is phase one, is to identify your niche, messaging, and offers. So here you're looking at who your ideal clients are, which we've begun to do today. And also, in addition to that, where you can reach them, ideally, where you can reach quite a number of them so you can start getting into these conversations, reaching out to them. The messaging piece, so how you talk about what you do. I could also include in that the positioning, so how you talk about yourself will be part of that. And then thirdly, how to package and price your offer. And so to me, these are all the things that need to be prepared before you really even have that first conversation. And so some of you, it might be, oh, this one is the one that I need to update or the one I need to focus on next. Some of you might be like, oh, I'm good to go on all of those. The one that I would say most coaches are missing, just from what I was doing the other week, which was looking at some of the biggest mistakes people make, coaches were saying that the messaging was most often the piece that they were missing out on, or they didn't feel worked as effectively as perhaps it could. So phase two, this is where you're choosing the right promotional tools to generate leads. This is how to get people into your pipeline. And here you're looking at actually which marketing strategies work for a coaching business. So we've covered some of the easiest ones, I would say some of the most effective ones for generating those conversations today. Methods to reach out to ideal clients. So how do you get people into those conversations? Again, we've touched on that. And learning how to generate referrals and word of mouth marketing. So again, we've touched on that one today. And so this piece is super important. It's like, because if we don't know how to generate leads, we don't have a pipeline, and then our business can feel like it's unreliable in terms of getting clients on board and turning them into paying clients. Phase three. So this piece is all about converting leads into paying clients. And so this begins to help you build a bit of a structure to your system. What we've got here is how to follow up with potential clients. So say you reach out to somebody and they're interested, how do you get them into that further meeting? And how do you invite them and provide something valuable? Second part is to structure that further meeting. How do you have a conversation, a further meeting, which helps somebody to go from just being interested to being converted to a paying client within one conversation? Now, obviously, if you've got larger projects that you're working on, it may well take more than one meeting. So you might need to have what I would call advanced conversation skills there. How do you make sure that whole thing keeps moving? And the last piece here is how to create a successful marketing mindset. So let me just put a summary on the page of the 3 phases. So phase one, identify your niche, messages and offers. Phase two, all about generating leads, building that pipeline. And the last phase is actually, how do you convert it? How do you convert people into paying clients? And there's something new. So if you'd like some help with doing this, I've got a new It's a new offer. It's a new way of working with people. I feel I've got so much to share with you in terms of the templates, the guides, the scripts for all of this. It's almost like to me a coaching business in a box. And I've put together a membership where I'll take you through those 3 phases and give you everything that you need. It's probably the most affordable thing I've ever offered. It's £49 a month for the membership. And if you'd like to take a look, it's at lisafarr.uk. And I think Sita is just going to put that in the chat box. Each month you'll get a training call, a Q&A call, so you can ask me questions. We kick off in November. And there is next week a bonus call. So if you would like to join us before next Wednesday, there's a bonus call on how to get a sense of your value. How do you truly understand the value of your coaching, and how do you attract those higher level clients to your coaching business? I did this exercise I'm going to share with you on the bonus call with a one-to-one client, and she, as a result of doing that together, she added 50% to her day rate and she got fully booked. So that bonus call is next Wednesday, 23rd. It will be recorded if you can't make that. And if you want to take a look at the How to Get More Clients membership, that's the page that you'll arrive at if you go to lisafarr.uk, and just so that you know you're going to the right place. Yeah, take a look. I'd love to help you. My aim is to help as many coaches as I can to create a highly profitable coaching business, doing the work that you're really here to do. It's like making a difference in the world. And I know making a difference in the world, it's like you don't need to be worried about how to get clients. It's how can we get your work out into the world to the right people and you really enjoying it and having a reliable way to repeatedly get clients on board. So this isn't just about doing it once, it's about doing it again and again. So it's not a worry for you anymore to get clients on board. You know exactly what you're doing. That's what I'd love to help you with. So further resources, you get the notes and the recording. So we're going to send that to everyone by email. We'll also send the link for the How to Get More Clients membership for those of you who are interested in that. We'll send the link with the recording, and it's lisafarr.uk if anybody's interested in that. And we have a couple of minutes to go, so I'm going to open up for questions. Before we do that, it's taking a moment. What has been the most valuable thing that you've got from this webinar? What's your most valuable takeaway? Always like to ask that question because I cover quite a lot of different things, and there'll be one highlight for you that really sticks out. Be great to hear from you in the chat box, actually, what you're taking away. I'd love to hear from you. And what questions are arising? Let me stop sharing and ask Zita. Zita, do we have many questions? Any questions?
No, the only one that's just come in is from Karen, who's asked how long you need to belong to the membership in order to see results.
Ooh, we have a full year planned for the membership. So when you go to the web page, there will, in the frequently asked questions, there's a whole itinerary there of what we're going to cover. I know, I'm just thinking of what we're going to cover. Certainly by the end of the second month, in the second month, we're going to cover the messaging. And I've had people, when I've worked with them on the messaging, within 2 weeks, I had somebody get 3 new clients. So it's absolutely possible that you could get new clients within a couple of months. But to really get the full benefit of everything, I would suggest it's going to be worth staying for 12 months, but you don't have to decide that before you join. You can join, you can cancel any time. There's a 14-day money back guarantee. So even if you change your mind and it's not for you, we can do that. And there is also going to be in the membership portal, how to get more clients. They say marketing, me taking you through a marketing plan for a coaching business. So you'll get that really, really quickly. So you could get results. I've had people get results within weeks with that. So it does depend where you're starting, but you could certainly get results within, I would say, a couple of months. Yes, if you're really, if you're really going to go for it.
Fabulous. And then we've just had one in from Jane who's asked what the role of social media is in
Mm.
marketing.
Good question, Jane. Good
Yeah.
question. Yeah. I would say that it's really useful to have a good LinkedIn profile. So we will cover that in the membership. It's really useful to have that because people will check you out. I've had people use their LinkedIn sort of network and use that for connecting with people that they know. I've heard of many, dozens and dozens of coaches who have spent a lot of time on LinkedIn and other social media platforms posting content and thinking it's going to get them clients, even posting every day, every week, and it's not worked. So I'm like, well, we have to find a different way. So to answer your question, Jane, there is a role. I would say LinkedIn profile, using that to connect with people can work really well. You may want to do some posting and be visible there, but I would say there are much better ways to get clients. And that's a good question. I'm glad you asked it because there will be other people on the call who are also interested to know the answer to that.
And nothing else unless anyone has any questions that they've not popped in the box.
So I'm just going to read some of the, thank you so much everyone for joining us. We are just a couple of minutes past 7, so I totally understand if you need to go. Rhiannon saying, thank you so much. I think the power of conversations and reaching out to people I know, being confident with my coaching offer. Yes, absolutely, without trying to describe it and everything that you can offer, making it relevant without being overwhelming. Thank you. That is excellent. Really good insight. Hey, Elizabeth, good to see you. Thanks, Susan. Good to see you too. Biggest takeaway, Virginia's saying, is identifying what is unique about you. Yes, because nobody else can be the same as you. So that's a nice insight to bring forward. Marius is saying, good to be reminded to do the referrals in your activities. Yes, because you're doing it anyway, aren't you? There are things here that you're going to be doing in your business anyway. And so to take that a step further and to use it as part of your marketing and begin to build that system can really, really, really benefit you. Thank you so much, everyone. We've got more messages. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, great. Well, I'm just going to switch off the recording. And thank you for listening to the recording, if you are listening to the recording.